Hello and welcome. This is Borno Restoration. I am Jesse Tafida. Today on the program, we will take you through activities of the one-in-a-million governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, whom through his zeal and doggedness has turned the state an envy of the Northeast region. From security to health, education and human capacity building, it's been all-round massive development in the state. Before we track all this, let's bring you up to speed with Borno Today. The NEDC has over the years stood up the task of alleviating the sufferings of survivors of the 13-year insurgency in the region. Provision of relief materials, shelter and livelihood support remain a top priority to the Commission. And now, the Commission is set to train 60 youths on electricity power installations.
And from time to time,
Managing Director of the Commission, Muhammad Al-Khali, notes that the training is to create job opportunities for youths across the 6 states in the region.
the benefit is that when you finish successfully, you will be automatically employed for life. That's the meaning. And from time to time, our team will visit the school and ask for their performance. We in the Commission were already committed to fighting out anybody who is interested in Mambila, especially because of the local content aspect of it.
The 8-week training will include lineman training, fixing and installation, connecting and reconnecting of distribution lines, among others.
To the participants of this program, you are the embodiment of potential and aspiration. As you embark on this journey of learning and growth, remember that knowledge is not just the answer, it is also the key to unlocking endless opportunities. Embrace the experience, ask questions, and collaborate with your peers, for it is through shared learning that we truly flourish. The Northeast Development Commission's sponsorship signifies a shared commitment to regional progress and prosperity, and by extension, national progress and prosperity.
This training is aimed at enhancing the skills of the unemployed youths with requisite qualification and fill the existing vacancies in the zone. The trainees were warned against indulging in any vices and advised to concentrate on the training to better their lives. In Nigeria, small businesses are the drivers of economic growth and financial development, contributing over 50% of the total gross domestic product. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, 55 to 68% of MSMEs are not adequately served by financial institutions, as barely 5% of SMEs have been able to get funding to meet their day-to-day obligations, much less expansions. Today, the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria is training teachers on vocational skills in Maiduguri. This is to acquaint the teachers on various skill acquisition so that they can train students in schools.
One thing we have started saying is that the days of white-collar job is gone. And we want to catch these students young so that they can be innovative in their thinking, and by the time when they finish school, they will be able to set up enterprise of their own without waiting for any government job that is not readily available.
It's another way, to inculcate in our youth, to imbibe the culture of setting up their own business, even after they finish school.
This move by Sweden is to ensure young people are being equipped with necessary entrepreneurship skills for a better future. Teachers of both primary and secondary schools across the state participated in the training.
In this environment, we are being trained in order to pass the message to our students so that when they finish their school, they will have something doing, not depending on government or their parents.
The essence of this training is to train teachers as a step-down training to train the teachers to go and train their students on how to acquire different skills.
Certificates were issued to the trainees after the 2-day training. Poor menstrual hygiene and unlimited access to good products undermines educational opportunity for girls across the globe. The United Nations Children's Fund (UNICEF) estimates that 1 in every 10 girls in Africa miss school because of their periods each month. But the state government and humanitarian partners want to change this narrative. With support from Zenith of the Girl, Child and Women Initiative and support, about 1,000 free sanitary pads has been donated to schools across the state.
Menstrual hygiene, how to manage menstruation safely and with dignity, has also been largely neglected by our stakeholders, and that makes life so difficult for adolescent girls. We must address this crucial barrier that can stop girls from accessing equal access to opportunities in terms of education. Just like they have first aid bags in the schools, we want them to have sanitary pads, free first aid box in the school.
Not even having the sanitary pad, the pant and what have you, it's another factor. Therefore, this gathering, in fact, is one of the most important to me that pertains to education. So it's very, very key. It is very, very timely, and I wish for its continuity and sustainability.
Students at this gathering reveal that lack of access to good menstrual hygiene often results to girls dropping out of school.
Many girls, both developed and developing countries, lack access to menstrual hygiene products. This shortage can lead to absenteeism during menstruation, as girls may feel embarrassed or uncomfortable attending school without the necessary supplies.
Stakeholders are of the view that when girls and women have access to safe and affordable sanitary materials to manage their menstruation, it reduces risk of infections. They call for relevant authorities to ensure the subsidizing of sanitary pads will go a long way in protecting the dignity of women and girls. The Boko Haram insurgency in Borno has killed thousands and displaced millions from their ancestral homes. Borno citizens abandoned their places of abode in search for safety during the peak of insurgency and found themselves in camp. From 2012 to date, many IDPs spent most of their lives in camps across the state. But the Zulum administration came in with 10-pact development agenda, part of which is the resettlement of IDPs. The governor has continued to work closely with security operatives to ensure that all affected communities are liberated. Now that peace is returned to most areas, the state government is closing internally displaced persons camp in Maiduguri to fast-track its resettlement drive. Governor Babagana Zulum argues that the IDP camp was becoming a permanent culture and making some citizens become totally reliant on aid, which is not sustainable. Hence the decision to encourage safe and dignified resettlement with livelihood support.
This occasion is of great significance to us and the entire people of Borno State. Let me commend the BSF under the chairmanship of our elder statesman, General T.Y. Danjuma, for the enormous contributions that it has rendered towards uplifting the standard of living of the displaced communities of Borno State since its establishment to date. The BSF had rehabilitated fallen buildings in Boda Ngala, and Damasak at a total cost of about 1.6 billion naira, because we can no longer keep them in IDP camps. There is growing prostitution in the IDP camps. There is growing procreation without care in the IDP camps. There is growing drug abuse in the IDP camps. Life in the IDP camp is no more sustainable. And therefore, government has decided to close all internally displaced camps within Maiduguri. We have closed a number of them.
All relocations to safe and rebuilt communities must be voluntary, as the government will continue providing livelihood support to returnees until their life gets in shape. The Victim Support Fund is piloting this exercise through the provision of cash, food and non-food items to the IDPs to enable them return to their ancestral homes and start a new life.
With the realization that the government itself cannot do it on its own. So the fund from the Victim Support Fund is mainly made up of contribution from the private sector, from the banking sector, from individual businessmen and women in Nigeria. They put together, under the chairmanship of T.Y. Danjuma, the fund to work with government and to support mainly victims. So that is really what we have been doing in Borno State. That is money they are supposed to put into something for sustainability. Rather than be waiting for food to be given to them, people should go back and start their means of livelihood, whether it's farming, whether it's trading. That particular money, we are giving them in two phases, which means we are giving them a 50% now as they go back. And then as they settle down, we are also working with them in the choice of the businesses or the activities that they want to do. And we are monitoring and supporting them in the activity itself. So the Victim Support Fund will be taking monthly monetary trips to those communities, to those local government areas, led by our Maiduguri-based office, to make sure that people are having the support that they need in those areas. So we specifically are ensuring that the money goes into something for sustainability. And then the second component is they need basic things. So rather than use the money to now start setting themselves up, we've made sure they have adequate amount of food item for every family. We've made sure that they have all the household utensils that they need to get settled. They have their beddings, their mattresses, their blankets. So every one of them, as you take them back, can live and survive for the next couple of months without really depending on government. Within that time, we will make sure that they are doing something that is bringing income to sustain them.
For most IDPs who have yearned to be resettled after spending years in camp, it's a wish come true. She says, I won't wish for any soul to experience life in camp. I cannot explain all that has happened, but life in camp is miserable. No privacy, no freedom, and no joy. But now that we are going back, I have hope that things will never be the same again. In preparation to leave the camp, IDPs dismantle their tents one after another and load their property into vehicles that will convey them to their communities. The women took their time to do the dishes and also arrange their stuff from here straight to Baga. Children of the camp are not being left behind and have also packed their luggage in preparation to bid the camp goodbye. Government on its part reassures the IDPs that it is safe for them to go back. No doubt that this effort by the Zulum administration is a renewed hope for people who have suffered 12 years insurgency. Certainly, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Giving hope to survivors of the 13-year conflict has been central to the administration of Professor Babagana Zulum. And one organization that has supported the governor to achieve this is the Center for Advocacy, Transparency and Accountability Initiative, KETAI. Join me as I engage the Executive Director, Abubakar Said Moazu, as he brings us up to speed on the activities in bringing hope to the survivors of the 13-year conflict. Take a listen.
The Center for Advocacy, Transparency and Accountability Initiative, as a youth-led non-governmental organization that has been operating in Borno State, particularly here in Borno State, having the headquarters of the organization with presence across the Bay State, particularly in Yobe and Adamawa, but much of our operational presence is here in Borno State. We have been doing quite a lot as a result of the insurgency, providing relief to the victims of the insurgency, particularly in the resettlement effort, particularly people that are internally displaced person. And if you get to see, we have been doing quite a number of things around education intervention, around livelihood intervention, and around peace-building intervention, so as to build back the people of Borno State better. In the recent years, from 2018 to date, we have been working with quite a number of stakeholders, providing educational response in places like Gamborungala, places like Goza, places like Bama, places like Dikwa, and many more. These interventions are interventions that we have been doing closely with developmental partners, particularly UNICEF and quite a number of other NGOs and UN agencies that have been supporting us as a youth-led non-governmental organization. For us as an organization, it's an obligation for us to fit in our mandate and our effort to responding to young people, because as young people are the next generation of leaders, the insurgency has impacted on these young people negatively. So it is the responsibility of young people like me and you to come up and see how we can respond to that. So for the past period of years, we have been responding, providing educational response, livelihood response. In some of the interventions that we have done, we have been providing livelihood response to victims of gender-based violence, to victims of young girls affected by issues of insurgency, or even becoming part of the wives of those people that are associated with armed group. So these are some of the key responses that we have been doing as an organization. And in the recent fire incidents of the Monday market fire, Qatar have worked closely with key stakeholders, particularly the Switzerland embassy, to see how we support the victims of this fire insurgency with startup park, with livelihood intervention that brings them back better in getting back to their feet, so as for them to start their businesses. For Center for Advocacy, as a youth-led non-governmental organization, as young as I am, I have been in Borno State for almost all my life. I was born and brought up here, and for me, I see as a young person, is for me to see how I can impact positively to the life of our people. Coming together to lead young people, amazing young people, to come up with initiatives that can contribute significantly in fitting into some of the key gaps being provided by the government. Government have been doing a lot, both at the federal level, state level, and the local government level. But more need to be done, as it is the contribution of key stakeholders to seeing how response can be provided to victims of insurgency. So it is just around 2018 when we decided to say that, no, this is something that we need to come up as young people of Borno State to establish this organization to see how we can provide response to victims of insurgency and as well as young people within the society. So these are some of the few key things that we have been doing. And for us, what gladdens our heart is for us to see how we can make the life of women, life of children, life of young male and female better. How we can fit into some of the policies and programs of government, particularly if you get to see the 25-year development plan of the Borno State government, is some of the key pillars that we're working around as a non-profit organization to see that development partners fit into those key areas to support those interventions. So over these periods of years, we have been working in fitting into that 25-year development plan since the time of the unveiling of that plan. And we have been doing amazingly well in terms of filling those gaps and and in terms of even supporting the government by providing them with the need assessment of people, need assessments of community. One key thing that we do as an organization that is unique and different is taking the approach of HDP Nexus, that is humanitarian development and peace building programming in our intervention. So all our programming that we are doing in terms of how we can provide immediate response of humanitarian need to people, how we can also make these people get back to their feet in terms of building their resilience, in terms of standing back to their feet, in terms of becoming much more better as they return to our ancestral homes. So some of these key things, as I rightly highlighted, we are working closely with UNICEF through the various consortium of national non-governmental organizations that we are implementing projects to see that we implement projects, build the resilience of these people through creating massive awareness and positive parenting for parents to let their children get back to school, so as for us to address the root cause of this insurgency. We believe lack of education, knowledge has also been a contributing factors to how young people were being indoctrinated into these key things. And these are some of the few key things that we have been doing. And as well, we have been working closely with agencies like UN Women in seeing that we contribute significantly to the growth of societies, particularly building their leadership skills, how they can also advocate, key into the reintegration of the state government, particularly through the Borno model, in seeing that people, young people, women in the community have knowledge of why the government is doing the reintegration of the people once associated with armed groups to be back to the society. So if you look at it, it's a holistic approach that we are taking, even not from the government side. As an independent entity or independent agency, we are trying to provide a kind of response that the government also will get it much more better and much more easier in delivering to their mandate and delivering to the need and aspiration of the citizens of the state.
Now, the Borno state government has resettled IDPs back to their places of abode. Kindly bring us up to speed on what your organization has been doing to help these returnees pick up the pieces of their lives.
Well, for us, as I rightly highlighted, if you get to see our programming, we have been doing quite a number of programming under education response, protection response, livelihood response, and many more. So all of these programmings and thematics that we are operating are thematics that fit into the response or the resettlement effort. So before, we have been operating and supporting internally displaced persons that are having their camps here in Maiduguri with education response and other key things. But while at the time of the returns or at the times and the effort of the state government in terms of returning these people, we follow these people back to their ancestral home, providing them with both formal and informal access to education opportunities. So I want to tell you that with partnership that we have been having with UNICEF and other key bodies, we have been working closely in seeing that we provide educational response to these children through hiring volunteer teachers that support in terms of engaging these children in learning literacy and numeracy, and through also providing them with scholastic material in those key locations. What I want to tell you is that if you look at the budget of the state, it's a budget that is quite huge, but to some extent the population number is also huge. So what we need to do is that as an organization, we are trying to fit into the gaps that is there, so as for us to support in terms of retaining children back to school. And as rightly highlighted, for victims that are returning back to their ancestral home, recently we have been partnering and working with other development partners to see that we provide income generating activities, particularly to women affected by this insurgency. Some of these women are head of household, some of these women are caregivers, some of these women are as well as victims of gender-based violence. So we are trying to see that we provide them with a kind of startup kit that will make them bounce back better, that will make them start a life with businesses, with opportunities for them to continue their life in their various communities. For the past few months, we have been going and I've been monitoring quite a number of our projects across Gamborungala, across Bama, across Goza, and many more. But it's nothing not of amazing things that young people that are trying to support their people, young people that are trying to support the cost of the government as well in terms of responding to the citizens, and many more. So these are some of the few key things that for us as an organization, we fit into the resettlement effort through providing education response, through providing protection response for children, through providing livelihood income for the families of these people that are returning back to their communities, particularly in some of these locations that I rightly highlighted. We are trying to see that some of our intervention also fit into the aspect of social reorientation in terms of creating massive awareness to young people on how they can stay in the society to have a positive way of engaging the government, positive way of engaging the society. Through our various programming, we have been hosting and holding quite a number of interventions, particularly in terms of areas that has to do with commemorating of international days, bringing young people together, having dialogue with them, having dialogue with government, so as for them to engage meaningful participation in the entire process. And likewise, in terms of the people that are less privileged, recently in the past few months that the fire incident happened here in Borno, we try our best to mobilize resources. We have engaged closely with the Switzerland embassy to see how we support victims, particularly of the fire incidents that have capital of less than 200,000 naira, to support them with a kind of intervention. Particularly, we support this with startup kit, and some of them we give them a soft grant that we provided to them, like 50,000 grants for them to start their work within their some businesses that can sustain them. And also we try to provide a kind of foodstuffs that we supported them with, foodstuff that has to do with rice, that has to do with or cooking oil, vegetable cooking oils, and other key things that makes their life much more better. So in essence, we have been doing quite a lot in terms of awareness creation, in terms of mobilizing resources from international organizations. For us as an organization, as a non-profit organization, we directly work with donor, we directly work with donor agencies, we directly work with UN agencies, we directly work with NGOs to mobilize our resources. These are some of the few key things that we'll continue to do in Borno State. We'll continue to provide that in Borno State. I will continue to advocate for more support to the people of Borno State as far as the resettlement, reconstruction, resettlement effort is concerned here in Borno.
And that's our package on this episode of Borno Restoration. Many thanks for watching. I am Jessie Tafida. See you next time. Bye-bye.